Mumbai, April 2012. The city of dreams, where skyscrapers glitter against the Arabian Sea, where Bollywood actors and tycoons sip champagne under neon lights, and where the line between glamour and darkness often blurs us. But even in a city that thrives on secrets, few could have imagined the horror that would one day spill out of the shadows of one powerful family. On April 24th, 2012, a young woman named Sheena Bora vanished. At 24, Sheena was bright, ambitious, working at Reliance in Mumbai, and in love with Rahul Mukerjea, the stepson of media mogul Peter Mukerjea. Friends wondered why she suddenly stopped answering calls, why her social media went dark, why her voice disappeared. Her mother, Indrani Mukerjea, told everyone Sheena had gone abroad to the US for studies. A convenient story that fit the ambitions people associated with her. Months passed, then years. The world moved on. But Sheena's absence lingered like a ghost, until one day the truth clawed its way into daylight. The secret unraveled by chance. In 2015, a driver named Sheena Bora was arrested on unrelated weapons charges. Under interrogation, Rai broke. He told the police something so horrifying that at first they refused to believe. He confessed that 3 years earlier he had helped his employer, Indrani Mukerjea, murder her own daughter. He described in chilling detail how Sheena had been lured into a car, strangled to death, stuffed into a suitcase, and then driven out to a remote forest in Raigad, where her body was burned in a shallow grave. The police followed his directions. They found bones, charred remains, fragments of clothing. The nightmare was true. The revelation shocked India. Indrani Mukerjea was no ordinary woman. Born in Assam, she had risen from obscurity to become a powerful socialite in Mumbai, co-founding Inks Media with her husband, Peter Mukerjea, one of the most influential figures in India's television industry. Together, they rubbed shoulders with Bollywood stars, politicians, tycoons. They were the glittering face of India's new elite. But behind the glamour was a labyrinth of lies. For years, Indrani had introduced Sheena and her younger brother, Mikhail, as her siblings. In reality, they were her children, born when Indrani was a teenager. To protect her image, to avoid scandal, she had buried the truth. But Sheena, now an adult, threatened to bring it all crashing down. The motive, Rai said, was rooted in fear and control. Sheena was in a relationship with Rahul Mukerjea, Peter's son from his first marriage. If she married him, the truth of her parentage would surface. That Indrani was not her sister, but her mother. For a woman obsessed with reputation, with maintaining her carefully curated identity, the prospect was intolerable. And so, she planned a murder. According to the driver's testimony, on April 24th, 2012, Indrani and her ex-husband, Sanjeev Khanna, invited Sheena for a drive. Sheena believed she was going to dinner. Instead, in the back seat of the car, she was strangled. Rai described how Indrani herself pulled the scarf around her daughter's neck, while Khanna held her down. When Sheena stopped moving, they stuffed her into a suitcase. That night, they drove to Raigad, a remote forested area. There, they dug a shallow pit, doused the body with petrol, and set it aflame. The flames licked the trees, casting eerie shadows. When they left, the air still smelled of gasoline and death. For 3 years, the lie held. Indrani continued her glamorous life, attending parties, giving interviews, smiling for the cameras. She told relatives Sheena was in the US, studying, building her career. Rahul, who had been desperately searching for Sheena, said Indrani kept assuring him she had cut off contact voluntarily. He grew suspicious, but without evidence, he was powerless. Indrani played the role of grieving sister perfectly, hiding the fact that she was, in truth, the architect of her own child's destruction. When the confession came in 2015, the media exploded. Media mogul Indrani arrested for daughter's murder. The headlines screamed. Television anchors replayed the driver's words, dissecting every detail. The public, fascinated and horrified, devoured the story. How could a mother kill her own daughter? How deep did the deception run? And what role, if any, did Peter Mukerjea play? Peter, at first, stood by his wife. He claimed ignorance, insisting he had no idea Sheena was Indrani's daughter, not her sister. But suspicion soon spread to him as well. Could he really have been so blind? Or had he, too, been complicit in covering up the crime? Eventually, he too was arrested, accused of conspiracy. Their empire crumbled. INX Media was dragged into financial scandals. Their fortunes collapsed, their reputations destroyed. The courtroom battles were dramatic. Indrani, often appearing in stylish outfits, proclaimed her innocence. She claimed she was framed, that she was the victim of a conspiracy. But the testimonies were damning. The driver's words painted a chilling picture. Forensic evidence, though fragmented, supported his account. Sheena's brother, Mikhail, testified against their mother, describing a lifetime of fear, manipulation, and betrayal. For India, the case became more than a murder. It became a symbol of how ambition, wealth, and obsession with status could corrode the very bonds of family. The idea that a mother could strangle her daughter to preserve her own image horrified millions. Tabloids splashed lurid details about Indrani's past, her multiple marriages, her carefully hidden children. She became, in the public imagination, less a person than a symbol of cold, ruthless ambition. The trial dragged on. India's courts are slow, clogged with cases. Years passed. Indrani spent time in Bikala jail, writing a memoir where she insisted on her innocence, portraying herself as misunderstood. Meanwhile, Rahul Mukerjea continued to mourn the woman he loved, haunted by the fact that the person who tore Sheena from him was her own mother. Every new hearing brought new revelations. Witnesses turned, stories shifted, but the core truth remained unchanged. A daughter's life had been erased, and the people she trusted most were responsible. The Sheena Bora murder case left India with haunting questions. How could family, the very institution meant to protect, become the site of ultimate betrayal? How many secrets still lie buried beneath the glitter of high society? And if someone like Indrani Mukerjea could keep a lie so enormous for so long, how many more such lies fester unseen? Sheena's smile, once bright with promise, was silenced forever in that car, in that suitcase, in those flames. Her story reminds us that monsters do not always lurk in the dark. Sometimes they wear designer clothes, sip cocktails at parties, and smile for the cameras. And as we tell this story tonight, we must pause and remember Sheena not just as a victim, but as a young woman whose voice was stolen. If you are listening, if you are watching, know this: keeping these stories alive is the only way to honor them. Share them, speak them, do not let them fade. And if you want more of these stories told with truth and with respect, subscribe to Crimson Narratives, because every time you do, you ensure that the voices of victims like Sheena will never vanish again into silence. The forests of Raigad still hold their shadows. The apartment towers of Mumbai still gleam, and the world still turns, forgetting too easily. But Sheena's ghost lingers, whispering the same question. How many more lies, how many more secrets, until justice is more than a word?